Good morning. Lieutenant Governor Reynolds and I are pleased to be joined by Education Department Director Brad Buck to share some new recommendations of the Financial Literacy Work Team. We're also pleased to have with us Jackie Haley with the Community Bankers of Iowa, Jamie Miller with the Iowa Credit Union Foundation, and Lori Ristow with the Iowa Bankers Association, who all served on the Financial Literacy Work Team. We appreciate the expertise and the time of the 13-member work team, the work that they put into developing the recommendations over many months. Director Buck convened the work team last January in response to growing concerns about Iowa students, what they are learning in the area of financial literacy, and the skills that are needed for them to be successful. Financial skills are essential, which is why they are included in Iowa's academic standards. Financial literacy includes knowing how to make smart, responsible financial decisions, understanding the role of the economy and society, and using entrepreneurial skills to enhance workplace productivity and career options. It also means having the good sense not to take on too much debt. Many Iowans, including educators, financial services experts, and elected officials, have expressed concerns about the status of financial literacy in Iowa. We know our children need to be financially literate in order to have a bright and successful future. We also know that financial literacy is critical to our state's economic future. Yet a national report card on state efforts to improve financial literacy in high schools gave Iowa only a C grade. The report questioned how well financial literacy topics are integrated into our classrooms across the state. What's more, research has made the connection between a person's economic health and their physical health. Financial literacy is also a factor in our goal of becoming the healthiest state in the nation. And now I want to turn the podium over to my partner, the Lieutenant Governor, Kim Reynolds, to talk more about the importance of improving financial literacy education in Iowa.
Good morning, and thank you, Governor Branstad. And I want to say thank you to the 13-member Financial Literacy Work Team for investing their expertise and their time in developing 8 recommendations on how to improve financial literacy education in Iowa. The team included public and non-public schools, financial services, higher education, as well as the Iowa Department of Education, and we're certainly grateful to everyone for their time and their work involved in this initiative. The recommendations will help guide the Department of Education to improve financial literacy resources and support the various school districts. In a moment, Director Buck will speak more specifically about the recommendations and the next steps from the working group. First, however, I want to commend the work team's call to establish a central location online to post high-quality financial literacy resources. It also makes sense to revise the financial literacy concepts and skills that are part of our state's academic standards for age appropriateness and clarity. As former Clark County Treasurer, I understand certainly the importance of financial literacy. I saw how far too many Iowans struggle to understand their rights and responsibilities when it comes to issues like property taxes or license fees or motor vehicle titling. Success in the 21st century requires being financially literate, and these recommendations will help us focus on assuring that all students are financially literate. So now I'd like to invite to the podium Director Buck to give you more details.
Thank you, Lieutenant Governor, and good morning. I've spent my career working in Iowa schools, so I understand from that perspective the importance of a good education in financial literacy. I also understand it from my own experience as a young person right out of college. I had taken AP courses in high school, I was on track to go to college, and I did earn a college degree. And still, on my first day of teaching, when I went to the school's business office and was instructed to fill out forms about things like my tax-sheltered annuity, I drew a blank. I went home and called my parents. There I was, a college-educated rookie teacher, and I didn't know the basics about saving money. So from the perspective of both an educator and a former student, I'm excited we're talking about this in Iowa. We must do more to help our students understand the power of financial literacy. And given that there's this groundswell of support among stakeholders to be part of the solution, it made great sense to form the Financial Literacy Work Team. I want to thank the members of the work team for all their hard work and support, including those members who are with us today: Jackie Haley from Community Bankers of Iowa, Jamie Miller from Iowa Credit Union Foundation, and Lori Ristow from the Iowa Bankers Association. I noticed as I came in there are a number of other members of that task force with us today, so thank you for being here with us. The work team's report includes recommendations to raise the profile of this issue in Iowa's education system and to provide better resources to teachers so they can deliver the best possible financial literacy education. First, the work team recommends taking a close look at our financial literacy requirements for K-12 schools. This is included in the 21st Century Skills portion of our statewide academic standards. The team's idea is to make sure the financial literacy component is clear and age appropriate. The work team also recommends more support for schools around putting the financial literacy component of the standards into practice. More support would include providing better, more centralized resources for our teachers. Another recommendation is to tap into external stakeholder groups with expertise in financial literacy to assist in professional development trainings for teachers. The report also suggests gathering information at the state level to see how school districts approach financial literacy education. And finally, the work team recommends improving communication statewide to keep this important issue on the front burner. At the Department of Education, we have moved forward by designating a staff member to the issue of financial literacy, and that is our social studies consultant who's with us here today, Stephanie Wager. We're also working to provide leadership around professional development activities and a central online location for high-quality resources for teachers. I would encourage you to read more about the work team's recommendations in the report, which is available in hard copy here today and on the Iowa Department website at educateiowa.gov. And now I'll turn the podium back over to Governor Branstad.
We will answer questions on this subject first. I would point out that last week the Lieutenant Governor and I attended three of our state universities and Drake University to talk about the issue of student debt and what we're doing to try to reduce the cost for higher education and facilitate being able to pay debt back quicker. So this, I think, is very consistent with that effort. And I also want to say I had the honor of serving 6 years as a public member of the American Institute of Certified Public Accountants. And I know the CPAs also have great experience and knowledge in this area, and they're great allies in helping educate Iowans on this subject. So with that, let's open it to your questions.
There seems to be a lot of talk in some of these campaigns about cutting back Pell Grants. What do you think about that?
That's a federal issue. That's a federal issue, and the one thing I would caution people about, that is, there's been dramatic increases in the money that you can borrow. Now, this is a grant as opposed to a loan. Obviously, we encourage students to look for scholarships and grants and less in terms of loans, but my advice to students is only borrow as much as you absolutely have to. I have personal experience in this. My folks didn't have the money to send me to college, but I worked construction work every summer. I worked during the school year in the cafeteria at the school, and I did have a partial scholarship, but I also had loans, and I frankly didn't get my last loan paid back until after I was governor the first time. But I'm proud to say I had a 10-year period to pay it back after I completed my 2-year service in the Army and 3 years of law school, and I did have the benefit of the GI Bill for law school, and I never missed a payment. So it was a good investment, but I'm glad that I only borrowed as absolutely what I needed.
A lot of school boards are concerned about state imposing new standards, new requirements on them. Isn't this just another layer of bureaucracy out there that's going to be added onto all these other things? I think if you talk with school board members, as you know, they will tell you we have this long list of things the state requires us to do. Isn't this just going to be another one of those?
No, this is a real common sense idea that really helps students to be able to know more about financial responsibility. And that's one thing that you hear complaints about people from all the time. We didn't really learn this in school. And consequently, kids get in trouble with too much credit card debt. They borrow too much money. They end up with a whole lot of college loan debt that they have to pay back. And we're trying to address those problems. And if we can address them up front by educating the kids while they're growing up through appropriate financial literacy being incorporated into their subjects, this makes a lot of sense. I'm obviously somebody that has big interest in social studies.
So is this going to be an unfunded mandate?
No, this is just a common sense standard that we think makes a lot of sense and something that should be done, probably should have been done in the past, but we need to do a better job of this. And you've got a lot of groups like the bankers and credit unions and CPAs that all want to help.
So is it going to be,
Yes.
is it going to be mandatory for school districts to do this? I guess that's the question. Will school districts have the option of not providing this if they don't want to? And for example, letting the kids' parents teach them this at home. That's one of the things we often hear from Republican candidates, that they're tired of school districts imposing things on their students.
Yes, so these financial literacy standards were already in place as part of our rigorous academic standards in Iowa. The report, if you have a chance to take a look at that report, one of the things they made very clear in the work through this group was that this would not become another mandate for schools. So one of the powerful parts of being a part of Iowa education is we're focused on setting standards and then allowing districts to personalize that for the way that they think is best appropriate for their kids. That will be true in the case of financial literacy as well. We're going to provide better resources and supports and professional development to help make that happen, but ultimately that will be up to local school districts about what that looks like for their kids.
They have to do it, they just have to figure out how to do it.
Right, so they'll have better information than ever about how to deliver on those standards.
I would also point out the groups that are represented here, the bankers, the credit unions, the CPAs, are great resources. They're located all across the state of Iowa, and they're very willing to be active and participate. So there's great resources available in communities all across Iowa to help make this work. Other questions on this subject? Okay, we'll be glad to respond to questions on other subjects as well today.
Parents of children diagnosed with severe epilepsy have suggested that the state of Iowa should actually allow growth and processing of marijuana so that cannabis oil can be made, produced within the state borders. Is that something?
Well, I think you got to be very careful because you don't want unintended consequences. You don't want marijuana being grown and then being used illegally. So I think it would really depend upon how carefully and strictly it could be managed and controlled.
Are you willing to discuss it though?
Well, I'm willing to look at all proposals. I just want to make sure that the safety of Iowans is protected and that we don't have unintended consequences.
Governor?
Yeah.
Turning to the issue of immigration and the unaccompanied children crossing the southern border. This is the heated political climate in Iowa right now. Republicans have been accused of lacking compassion when it comes to figuring out what to do about these children who are coming across the border unaccompanied. How are you factoring compassion into your choices on how the state should react?
Well, what is disturbing is this is a federal issue, and the President of the United States has not only not secured the southern border, he refuses to share with us, the governor and the officials in the state, who these people are that are being placed in our states and who they're being placed with, what their health status is. So we're totally kept in the dark by our own federal government, which has the responsibility to do this. Iowans are very compassionate people. And while I've been governor, we've accepted immigrants from all over the world, from Somalia, from Eastern Europe, from many places. My predecessor, Bob Ray, of course, brought a lot of people here from Southeast Asia. They've been well assimilated into our state legally. Our concern here is we don't know their background or circumstances, and we're very, very disappointed that the federal government has still not answered the question the Lieutenant Governor and I sent to the President on this subject, nor did the Director of the Department of Health and Human Services, Sylvia Burwell. She was at the National Governors Meeting in Nashville and met with the governors to lobby the governors to support this supplemental appropriation, but didn't tell us that they were, without our knowledge, placing teenagers in our state, including in the state of Tennessee. And I can tell you that the governor of Tennessee, the governor of Nebraska, and many, many other governors, and including myself, been very disappointed with the way the federal government has handled this matter. We are in Iowa very compassionate people and very welcoming people. The Lieutenant Governor and I participate each year in the Immigrant Entrepreneurial Summit. We have a lot of immigrant entrepreneurs that are doing great things in our state. We're very proud of them. We sign a proclamation each year. We sign a certificate to honor each of them has started a business each year. So Iowa has a great track record there, but the federal government has a miserable record. They have failed to secure the border, and then they have failed to inform us about who's being placed in our state, what their health status or what their criminal status might be.
What about parents like that, if they're worried about cross the border, they live in Iowa, they're trying to find their children or find their nieces?
We don't know, because the federal government won't share that information with us. We have no clue who they are or anything about them.
Should those children end up with family support here in Iowa?
We don't know. The federal government won't share that information with us. The problem is the federal government and the administration's unwillingness to tell us the circumstances and the people that are involved. So how can we know? We don't know. We've asked. We have not been, that question has not been answered for us. And to my knowledge, it's not been answered for other governors as well. I think that's a tragedy when you have a federal government that doesn't enforce and secure our borders. And there's also concerns about ISIS and potential people from that dangerous group getting into our country as well.
Governor, these are children we're talking about.
Well, we don't know. We don't know because they haven't told us, and so we don't know. And we've just asked the question, who are they? Where are they being placed? What's their health status? We don't know any of that, nor have they answered it.
Is there a different category for 5-year-olds than older people?
We don't know. And how can we know? No, they won't tell us. The federal government is really the problem here because they have failed to meet their responsibilities as far as the immigration laws of this country are concerned, and then they have placed people in the states without the knowledge of the governors or the human service departments, and I think that is outlandish.
Is there any indication children are showing up at schools open?
Again, we don't know. We don't know because they won't tell us. The federal government hasn't told us who they are, who they've been placed with, what their circumstances are. We don't know.
But are schools having children come who don't have language skills?
Well, yes, we have those issues, and the school districts are dealing with them as best they can. That has been, but that's been an issue that school districts have dealt with for a long time, and frankly, our school districts, I think, have done an admirable job of trying to teach the English language to people that come here. But this other issue is something that we just have been kept in the dark about, and I think it's unfortunate.
Some community leaders, Catholic leaders, and mayors are saying we still have to have open arms for the children, even as we wait for the federal government to put out the information.
Well, it's up to the people, I think, to decide. I believe that the federal government is really the problem here, and I believe this is a federal issue, and the President and the Congress have failed. I think it's unfortunate, and it's too bad, and unfortunately this problem is being dumped on the states all across this country. It's a much bigger problem in the southern states than it is here, but it is a problem across America. Yeah. I'm running for governor. If, believe it or not, I am running. I've been to all 99 counties, and I'm going to continue to, and I have a very active schedule. And the fact is that I think it is appropriate, and I'm very interested and willing to have a deposition, but we'll have it after the election. The election's only a month and a half away, and my schedule between now and then is extremely busy. I don't take anything for granted. I am going to work hard every day to win this election because I love this state, and I want to serve the people, and I want to do the best job I can.
One follow-up, don't people deserve to know about that?
Well, this lawsuit was filed years ago, and the plaintiff has delayed and delayed and delayed it. We have totally cooperated in every aspect, and I think asking me to have a deposition before the election when my schedule is already extremely busy is not appropriate, and the courts and the attorneys have now agreed upon a date for that.
How long do you expect?
I don't know. It all depends upon how many questions they ask. You know, I'm a recovering lawyer. Yeah, I was a lawyer until I was elected governor, but I can tell you it all depends upon the lawyer and how many questions they ask. These things can last an hour, or they can last for several hours.
Governor, doesn't look so, the question here is that he is saying that you discriminate against him because he's a homosexual.
No, that's not true. I've said, no, wait a minute, just a second.
But don't you want to make that clear? Doesn't it look
I have made that clear. I treat everybody with respect and dignity, and there is absolutely no evidence that I've ever treated him or anyone else differently. I treat everyone with respect and dignity. Anybody that knows me knows that's the way I operate and have always operated.
Just in relation to it.
What's that? Well, between now and the election, it's even more busy than normal. I mean, the fact is the lieutenant governor and I go to every county every year. We take our responsibility to the people of Iowa very seriously. So we have all of our official responsibilities and duties, plus you add to that, and a lot of people make up their mind in elections in this period between Labor Day and Election Day. So this is an even more critical period of time in which we need to be out there, and we have long since put our schedule together. We have strategically mapped out our plans in terms of meeting our obligations in the official office as well as the campaign. We've now been to all 99 counties, and we're going to spend a lot of time focusing on the critical areas. I will spend the debate's going to be in Burlington, Iowa, my mother's hometown, southeast Iowa, an area that I was just at to walk in the parade for the rodeo parade in Fort Madison. We were just there for the Iowa Fertilizer event last Friday, and they will see a lot of me in southeast Iowa, but they will in northwest and southeast and southwest and in central Iowa as well, because I'm the governor of the whole state of Iowa. I take my responsibility very seriously, and I want the people of Iowa to know that I love the state, and nobody will ever work harder to represent them. Thank you.